on the Reno Show. I'm revealing the results of my huge office transformation. Naturopath Tammy Guest joins me to discuss the importance of hydration on the Reno site. I'll show you how to ensure your indoor plants are thriving, and I get stuck into some DIY that is set to transform your kitchen style. Previously on the Reno Show, I got started on a huge office transformation for a family sick of working out of a cluttered, uninspiring space. Check out the previous episode to see the DIY desk construction, wallpaper installation, and floorboard transformation. Okay, so I told you I had an amazing product to pop on this splashback, and I do. It's from the framingshop.com.au, and it is these amazing Cork decorative tiles. They even come with their own adhesive on the back, so you literally peel and stick. It couldn't get more simple. And while I do love this really natural look of the cork, I'm looking for a bit of a different feel in this space. So most applications, I would absolutely just go with the natural cork. I think it adds, a beautiful warmth and texture to the space. But in this room, I'm wanting to keep it a little bit more minimal, with just the desk being the big bespoke item. So I'm actually going to try and paint these. You guys know I believe that you can paint anything, and so I don't see why cork should be any different. Now, I've chosen Taubmans Endure to paint this with because I find that it's just one of the, for want of more technical words, it is the best sticking paint I've probably ever used. So I'm using Taubmans Endure for this, and I've chosen a beautiful navy that's really, really similar to the navy in the wallpaper in this room, and it is called Elegant Evening. Now, naturally, to do this project, I'm going to need some bits and pieces. I've got my paint, I've got my cork, naturally need my stirrer, paintbrush to clean up drips, a small nap roller so that I don't get a big stippled effect. I need to be really, really careful when I'm painting this cork that I'm not oversaturating it. It is only about 4 mils thick, and so I'm concerned if I have too much paint on my roller, I might actually wet the cork a bit too much and we may see some warping. So that's going to be a bit of a suck and see or a test and see. And naturally, I need a roller tray. This is a water-based wash-up, so it's going to be nice and simple. And here goes everything. Now these cupboards here, these ones, these are a leftover relic of the old office space. But realistically, so unbelievably practical. You can hide the junk in here. You can display, when they're looking slightly less cluttered than this, you can display a pile of things that you need access to here. But the white melamine, it started to yellow on some of the taped areas. It's definitely showing sometimes with the white board, so this would have been installed, I'm assuming, 10 years ago. The dirt gets into the edge between, the taping and the front surfaces, and it just starts to look a little bit grotty and like it needs some love. So I don't want to rip these out. These are so functional, and it will cost me quite a bit to get this reinstalled. So instead, I'm going to be giving this one a little bit of a makeover, and I think she is going to really love her new ballerina colour. I know, I'm literally going to be transforming these from very mainstream white into a beautiful ballerina pink that's going to offset the dabs of pink that's in that wallpaper just perfectly. This pink is the perfect shade, works in wonderfully with the wallpaper. I can't wait for all of you to see the end result. Alright, it is time to get started on the protective coating of these tops. So I've had a good read because it's really important that we follow the instructions correctly on this. It's actually a two-part product. So we're going to be mixing all of the bottom part into the top part. What's really important to notice is it's kind of a one-time use product in the sense that it only lasts for an hour after it's been mixed together. The instructions on this are pretty blatantly obvious that you must follow them, and if we don't, it's not actually going to work. So you have to have the right ratios, you have to mix for an extended time, and you have to roll that puppy on within an hour. Importantly though, you must wait 24 to 48 hours after you have used your lemonade paint before you go ahead and pop this one on. If you wait more than 48 hours, you must make sure you sand it first. So I better get reading and get mixing. Now this might look super easy, and it is, and that is all because of the adhesive on the back. Alright team, I'm super excited about the makeover of the filing cabinet. Now it's a bit of a tricky one. I've never made over such a shiny surface before. We're going to need some standard things like wet and dry sanding pad, stick to mix the paint up, we have to make sure we really do that well, paintbrush for any cutting in or any drips. Naturally, I'm wanting a really smooth finish, so I've gone with a microfiber. It's a Unipro microfiber short nap roller. That should give me a really smooth finish rather than a stippled one. But two absolutely essential products here. It's this one is first. So this is the White Knight Rust Guard Quick Dry. So not only does it dry in an hour, which is outrageous, but without this, no matter what I pop on top of it, isn't going to go really well. So this does a couple of things. If it was in a surface that was prone to rust, it really prevents it from rusting. But most importantly for me with this one is it's going to make sure that whatever I choose to put on top of it is a good stick. So great adhesion. So it's an amazing primer to use if you're wanting to transform pretty much most metal surfaces. So no matter how good my top coat was, if I didn't use this beautiful puppy here, my top coat would be mute. Now the team at Bristol have recommended this to me. I went to them and I said, hey guys, I want a metallic gold finish. And so they've given me this system to use together, and the top one is actually from Porter's Paints. It is the Alchemy Liquid Gold. So let's see how this goes over the awesome Rust Guard and see what finish we get. Now both of these products, again, always important to check your wash up. Both of these products are a water wash up. This one actually is touch dry in 20 minutes, which is amazing, and you can recoat after an hour, which is awesome. Always remember team that your environment does affect your drying time. So if it's colder, if it's wetter, if it's hotter, if it's drier, it will all affect the drying time, so make sure you take that into account. Now, if I'm going to be dead honest with you, these haven't turned out exactly as I'd liked. They're a little more yellow or mustardy than I'd imagined that they would be. And although the can tells me that I need to use a brush for it, it's still come up with quite a streaky look on it. So I figure I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to give them a third coat now, slight sand back, and I'm actually going to roll them. and then I'm just going to see how I feel once it's dry and it's in place in the room. It is feeling a little mustardy at the moment, but I could be completely shocked once I integrate it with the rest of the space and it looks like a beautiful metallic gold. But fear not. This is my theory about paint. You can paint anything. So if I choose in, a month, in 6 months, in 1 week that I don't like the gold, I can just paint over it. But let me see first if I can salvage this puppy. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Now, I wasn't a fan of it after 1 coat, but I am definitely after that final coat of gold. So there you have it, we are done. An amazing office space, not only fit for the parent of the house, but also multiple little children, so they can study, work, and be surrounded by magnificent space medicine. All of this is achievable for you. Lots of little micro projects make up one amazing big project, and I'm thrilled. The family is absolutely thrilled with this transformation. They now all have an amazing, inspiring and nurturing place to work and study. And I'm just quietly pretty chuffed with the transformation too. Staying well on a reno is a massive challenge. What do you have for me today?
Well, one of the secret sources that we have as humans is water.
So simple.
I know, right? But so easy to forget.
I'm not one for it.
Exactly. And especially when your mind and your body is busy doing so many other things, but you get to that 2 o'clock in the afternoon type of time, you haven't drunk any water, you've had a hell of a lot of coffee
and grumpy and Diet Coke.
And you're wondering why your brain's not quite working, you can't answer those phone calls, you can't make those decisions that you're supposed to make. And your body needs 2.5 litres of water if you're around about that 70 kilo mark.
You know what? I know it's as simple as drinking it, but there has to be some hacks. There has to be some ways that I can get hydrated without literally just having to have, those massive containers that people carry around with them. Just the thought of that, I think water, Portaloo.
Absolutely.
So there must be a hack. What are the hacks?
There is. So a 750ml bottle, it's your average one that you can get pretty much anywhere. Yep. You only need 3 of those throughout your general working day.
Okay.
So we're getting one in before lunch, we're getting one around that lunch type of time, and then we're getting one in the afternoon. The other thing is to make sure that it tastes okay, especially if you're not used to having water.
And flat water.
And flat water. So sparkling water is totally okay.
Okay.
Long term, it does have a little bit of an issue with your bones, but if you're mixing it together, then it's a nice kind of mixture.
Okay.
We've got flavors like you might have seen these new drink bottles where you can actually put fruit in there. So you're
with
actually,
the diffuser thing in the centre.
Yeah, so you're infusing with berries, infusing with lemon, infusing with anything citrus orientated. And it's an old traditional kind of remedy to actually absorb the water into your cells is salt, sugar and lime. I mean, you guys go to India for some amazing tours.
We do.
And it's one of the ones that they use over there all the time because of the amount of sweat that they have.
So does that mean there's a way I could drink slightly less but kind of supercharge my water?
Yes.
Okay, tell me that one.
Again, it's a pinch of salt, a pinch of sugar and some lime.
So literally in my water?
Yeah, that's it.
Pinch of salt, pinch of sugar, squeeze a lime. So would that mean if I was at a push and I was on the road visiting suppliers, knew there'd be no toilets because that is an issue, I could say just take one 750ml bottle with me for the day and pop that inside it?
Yes, you can. And then come home and have the other 750 mils. But yes, during the day, absolutely, it's the original electrolyte drink. Yeah.
We have known each other for so long and I'm slightly annoyed that I've only learned this today. So thank you, Tammy. I can't wait to have you back for the next hack.
I'll see you next time.
Plant of the Day with Chloe from the Greenery Sydney. Chloe, what do we have here today?
And this is a Sansevieria, Naomi.
Now, I hear a rumour it's as sharp as my mother-in-law's tongue.
Oh, it could be. Depends on who you have.
That's a good point. I love her. She's amazing. But it is a mother-in-law's tongue, right?
It is.
Which so many people have ripped out of clumps in their yard as if it's a weed over the years. But it can be beautiful and architectural.
It really can. They are very, very hardy.
What are you trying to say?
Well, if you don't have the greenest thumb, this is probably one of the plants for you.
Okay, there's the top tip. And what do you love most about this plant? Because I know you're a plant lover.
I am. This one's very, very versatile. So probably I love it because it can go in full sun or not darkness, but probably one of your darkest rooms. It will also grow well.
This could literally go in the bathroom, in the corner of the bathroom.
It could.
And it could go out in full sun.
Definitely.
Full Australian sun.
Sure can.
That's outrageous. That is probably... I actually heard an amazing fact about this the other day. We all know that plants purify our air. There's a recent study that shows that this one, the mother-in-law's tongue, is actually the top air purifying plant available.
It is.
That is an outrageous stat. So not only does it grow anywhere, but it's the most healthy plant to have in our home.
As classified by NASA.
That is outrageous. There you have it. Mother-in-law's tongue, Sansevieria, NASA rated plant. Get into it. Today's style hack is all about upcycling. Now, I don't mean recycling, which is something we all think of, having an old piece of furniture and making it new again. I actually mean when you buy something new and you choose to make it better, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. So I've purchased from a nationwide discount or low-cost shop 3 of these stools. They look really simple. I quite like the shape. I quite like the white metal on them, but I do think that we could make them a little more amazing. And I'm going to show you 3 super simple ways you can make these stylish, your own, and do it affordably. So let's get to it. First technique we're going to do is actually extremely simple. We're just going to paint the top of this. And today, for all 3 stools, we're sticking with a navy and white theme. So let's get to it. The first and most simple thing we need to do to make this easy on ourselves is to tape up the white metal. Just means as we're applying our paint, we don't have to worry about any drips, spills, or stray brush hairs. Naturally, before we paint anything, we do need to make sure it's clean, make sure we've given it a light sand with a sanding block, and then make sure we give it another clean. As many of you know, I'm a huge fan of not letting any paint go to waste. So this is a beautiful navy from a previous project that we're going to utilise again here. light sand and then a second coat. Stool number 1 is done. We're now moving on to number 2, and we're going to get a little more fancy. You can pretty much do anything you want on these stools. So you could do spots, you could do stripes, you could do stars. All you need to do is get clever with the tape and then with the paintbrush. Now, if you were really attention to detail, you could absolutely measure out these strips or stripes to make sure they're perfect distances apart. However, you know what? I don't mind just being a little off the cuff with it. Now for this one, I'm using a Porter's chalk emulsion. I get all of this sort of stock from my local Bristol supplier. I love this because it covers really, really well, and there's no prep needed even to, previously varnished surfaces. When I am painting over timbers, when I'm upcycling furniture, I do like to not be too precious about my brush strokes. I think there's something really sweet and really nice about being able to see the brush strokes and being able to see a little bit of the timber grain. Adds interest and adds character. There we have it, second one done. We'll leave that to dry whilst we get on to the third. Now for number 3, we're doing something a little bit different here. I'm actually going to pad this seat for some extra comfort, and I'm going to upholster the top of it. Now these are called fat quarters. These are available from so many different types of stores, Spotlight, Lincraft, any haberdashery type of shop. And it's just a simple piece of fabric. I actually don't know, someone else might know why they're called a fat quarter, but there you go. It's actually a perfect size to fit over here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take this top off so it has a beautiful finish once it's done. Now that we've done that, we can actually use this top as a template to cut our wadding and our fabric. Now this again comes from just a standard craft store or fabric store, and we can use that to just get that little bit of extra oomph into our seat. A bit more of a luxe look. Now when you're using this as a template, we really don't want the wadding to be wrapped around, because these screws that secure the frame and the timber are actually quite tiny. And if we have too much padding there, these aren't going to be able to bite in. Perfect. Let's now do the same for the fabric. We do need, for the fabric, we do need a little bit of a lip that we can bring it over the edge and staple it in well inside that frame. But again, we don't want too much overhang. I'm about to sound like my mother, but I feel like saying, someone used my fabric scissors to cut paper. You can always tell when the kids have had the fabric scissors. Next step, let's secure all of this together. So fabric down, the good side down, wadding on, in we go. Now to secure this, I'm just using a really simple staple gun. As we staple, we will need to probably pleat just so that we can get the fabric to fit around that curved edge. Popping on some glasses for safety. That is so cool. That is such a good look. All right, let's put the stool back together. Now that makes my heart sing. Look at that. It is so cute. And there you have it, 1, 2, 3. You would never have known that these were budget and boring stools to begin with. Next time on the Reno Show, I am kickstarting a back deck makeover. I have a 1-pan brekkie recipe you are going to love, and Patricia Lohan is back to discuss feng shui for your living room.